Hey everybody, Snooplax here, and today we're going to talk about how there are 5 different variants of the Nintendo 64 logo in official Nintendo 64 games, and over a third of the logos that you see are wrong. But first, we need to clear something up, because I posted a video about this 5 months ago, and I get the same comments over and over again, asking if the official Nintendo 64 artwork is wrong through the logic of the video, even though I have a whole paragraph in the description explaining it, and multiple times throughout the video, I reference the official artwork being right. So this is the Nintendo 64 logo as a 3D model. And from that perspective, if you look at the diagonal faces, you can see 2 red faces and 1 green face. When you look at it from a top-down perspective, you can clearly see that the sides alternate between red and green. If we flip the logo upside down, we can see that the sides alternate between red and blue. So in the video, when I said the bottom side was blue, I was talking about when the logo was rotated 90 degrees, like in this perspective. The second most common question I got is, why is blue the right color for the bottom face in the logo? And that's a good question. I never did cover why blue was right in the video. If you look at this pie chart, out of the 25 Nintendo 64 games that use spinning logos, 15 of them use blue on the bottom. And if you look at the list of games, every first-party Nintendo game uses blue, like Donkey Kong 64, Diddy Kong Racing, Majora's Mask, and Ocarina of Time. Also, by looking at this graph, you can see Banjo Kazooie used red, but in the sequel Banjo Tooie, it was corrected to blue. And every time Nintendo has ever used the 64 logo, it has always had blue at the bottom. On the Nintendo 64 disk drive startup screen, it was blue on the bottom, and even on the Wii Virtual Console, if you left the game paused for too long, a 3D Nintendo 64 logo would show up and it was blue there. So that is why blue is the right color. Now that all that's explained, let's check out the 5 variations of the logo and some new information I found since the last video. Shortly after posting the initial video, this Nintendo 64 development book was brought to my attention, and it's self-evaluation for all software submissions. This portion outlines Nintendo's rules for using the 64 logo in a startup of a game. It tells you the exact colors for the red, blue, yellow, and green that are used. It says that the logo should rotate about 1 revolution every 2 seconds, and it should rotate counterclockwise when viewed up top. So they did have a lot of rules for using their logo. So companies had 2 choices. Choice 1 was just to throw up the logo on a screen, just a still image, which most companies did. A majority of Nintendo 64 games that you play will have a still image of the Nintendo 64 logo when you boot up the game. But there was a second option, which took a lot more effort. It was to create a 3D spinning Nintendo 64 logo. Since Nintendo only gave these companies a picture of the logo, and not the 3D model itself, a lot of companies got confused about how the logo should look as a 3D model, and ended up making a wrong variation of the logo. So in official Nintendo 64 games, there's 5 variations of the logo. So this is the logo depicted by the artwork, and this is all a 3D modeler would have had to go off of. So the difference between this 3D model and the artwork is a 2D picture, you can only convey so much information. With a model, you're able to convey all the information needed because you're actually able to rotate the model and view it in different perspectives. So if you were a game developer in the late 90s to early 2000s and you were tasked to create a 3D logo, first thing you'd do is do this. You would match it up completely to the official artwork so it was good. And every single game has the official artwork from this perspective correct. So let's rotate this here. So looking at that, since they have that correct, all this though on the other hand, they have to kind of guess what it is. So if we do this side, we can assume the cube is going to be symmetrical both ways, so we can copy the artwork again to this side. So this side here is going to be green, that's obvious. This side here is going to be blue. And then if we remember from before, this is red. Assign that. So we got 3 of the 4 faces. And this is where the very first mistake happened. In LEGO Racers, the modeler didn't even follow the picture when doing the other side, so they made that side red. And this is the first wrong logo. As you can see, the top has 3 red sides and 1 green side, instead of 2 green sides and 2 red sides. So this is one of 2 mistakes in this model, and this is the biggest mistake of them all because it won't even match up to the official Nintendo 64 artwork. So the first wrong logo, when you look at it this way, it's right, but when you rotate it 180 degrees, it shows both these sides being red, when one should be red and one should be green. I'm gonna duplicate it, and I'm just gonna put it off in the background here for a bit. So this next one can only be viewed when you rotate the logo 90 degrees, so blue is on the left and green is on the right. For some reason, a company thought these were red. I have no idea why they'd make that assumption. So they had the logo looking like this. They had this side right as blue, but on this side, they had this as red. It just really didn't make any sense why this would be red. I guess when you're making the logo, maybe they never looked at it from this angle, but it just looks so silly seeing just part of the portion of this face being red. It just really makes no sense at all. If we zoom up to this logo here, how could that be right, you know? And this one comes from Top Gear Rally 2. As you can see, it shows that side to be red when it should be green. I'm gonna go duplicate this and put it in the background. I'll fix these faces. Green just makes so much more sense. This is the last face. This face is the most controversial. It's the one that the most people got wrong. Nowhere in the official logo picture the developers were given does it show this face, so this face was pretty much complete guessing. I totally understand why some developers got this face wrong. So the first miscoloring of this is making that face green. Honestly, making it green does make a lot of sense, because if you look at the top is 2 red, 2 green. So a lot of people thought that the bottom would be same as the top and be 2 red and 2 green as well, when in reality the proper logo uses blue. Here are all the intros that use the wrong color green.
Stupid logo.
Conkers Bad uses the wrong logo. Those faces should be blue. The funny thing about this is the fact that he calls it a stupid logo, so maybe Rare knew all along. EarthWorm Jim also uses the green when it should be blue. The next games are Powerpuff Girls and Tom and Jerry. It was made by the same developer, so they used the exact same spinning 3D logo. So where it shows the green, it should be blue. And the last logo that uses green is Tetrisphere, and this model has a lot wrong with it. the dimensions just seem completely off, the fact that there's yellow rectangles on top instead of yellow squares. This model breaks some of the rules that Nintendo put in place for use of their logo, like rotating clockwise from the top, and just using the wrong proportions for the logo. The coloring problem is that green face should be blue. This logo here, the first one we looked at, the one for Lego Racers, with the 3 red faces, funnily enough made the same mistake on the bottom with 3 red faces and 1 blue face. So Lego thought it was 3 out of 4 for the top and 3 out of 4 for the bottom. So this one actually has 2 mistakes. And the last wrong logo is all red on the bottom. And I think this logo honestly almost looks better than the official logo, because having red at the bottom honestly does look pretty slick, and it makes it so that there's more red balance in the logo, so the companies that used red, it still looks pretty good. The first game that uses all red is Aiden Chronicles, and as you can see, this red face should be blue. Second is Banjo Kazooie, and as you can see, that red face should be blue.
Interplay presents Clay Fighter 63 1/3.
And for Clay Fighter 63 1/3, that red face is supposed to be blue. I want to show you what happens when you Google Nintendo 64 logo and just show you the misinformation around it. I hope this video clears up some of the misconceptions from the first video, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. If you could leave a like or maybe even subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. It really helps grow the channel, and I hope you guys all have a great day.